This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom.
This is Milestones to Millionaire, podcast number 88. Sports medicine doc pays off $287,000 in 2 years. You've heard me talk about CompHealth before and how they created the locum tenens industry as the very first agency to help physicians find short-term jobs. It's a great way to add flexibility to your career. With CompHealth, it's a truly personalized experience that focuses on you and your skills, specialty, and goals. Easily searched from thousands of jobs across the country that are added daily on CompHealth.com. You can find jobs close to home, and CompHealth can even help you find your next full-time job too. Explore one of the largest job boards available now at CompHealth.com. If you haven't heard any of these Milestone to Millionaire podcasts before, this is a podcast where we celebrate you and your accomplishments. When you reach a financial milestone, whatever that milestone might be, it might be paying off your car or paying off your student loans or getting back to broke or, hitting a net worth milestone of 100,000 or a million or 10 million, whatever it might be. We want to celebrate it with you and use your experience to inspire others to do the same. The way we do that, though, is we need your help. We need you to apply at whitecoatinvestor.com/milestones to come on this show and to share your experience so that others can benefit from it. So please do that. We'd love to celebrate with you and congratulate you on your accomplishments. All right, let's get our interview for today on the line. I think you're going to love this one. Our guest today on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast is Dr. Kellen Gower. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Datley. Very nice to be here.
So this is a really interesting podcast to record. While you are not listening to this until October 17th-ish, we're recording it on September 28th. As we record it, I'm sitting here in Salt Lake with thunder booming over my head as some storm comes over. But worse, Kellen is sitting in just north of Tampa, and Hurricane Ian is actually landing on shore as we are talking. So hopefully we get through this interview. He assures me he's safe and that it's quite a bit south of where he's at. But to all of you in Florida right now, we're thinking of you as this hurricane comes through, and may you all be safe. In the meantime, let's celebrate what you have done, Dr. Gower, because it is remarkable. Congratulations to you, by the way, for paying off your student loans.
Thank you. It's been seems like a long journey, and as I was mentioning a minute ago, I've kind of been a fanboy for the last several years now, since the book first went on Audible, and I was able to listen to it on an airplane ride during medical school, and so I've kind of been trying to practice as much of the topics and things as you've been preaching for a decade now, and so it's been a good journey so far, and obviously still a long way to go, but definitely a first milestone here.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the milestone. How much did you pay off in total?
$287,000.
$287,000 in what time period?
2 years. So officially my 2-year mark was after being out of residency and fellowship was August of this year. And so I've not actually paid the money off yet, since everything's sitting at 0% interest right now. I've actually got most of that chunk in a high interest savings account right now. And a couple other things, but it's sitting there ready to go whenever the due date comes available.
Yeah, so we're about 3 months from that. I think they're actually serious this time. I think it really is going to end at the end of the year. I guess you never know for sure, but I knew the last one was going to be extended. This one, I think they're actually going to stop doing this. So.
I think they're serious on this one, and then to kind of throw another kink in the wrench, I mean, in a good way, but the state of Florida has actually passed a new law as of January that primary care doctors actually get $20,000 in student loan forgiveness if you work in a rural area. So I'm in about as rural area as it can get. I actually practice about an hour and a half north of Tampa. And so, I think that'll be something else I'll need to consider in terms of, do I really want to pay the whole thing off in one lump sum, or do I want to let, kind of wait and strategize that a little bit too?
Yeah, you may want to keep 20, 40, 60, something like that on there, and let the great state of Florida take care of that for you. That's a nice benefit for them to come up with. See, I kind of hate these programs. I love them, but I hate them, right? I love that people are helping docs pay off their student loans. I hate the moral hazard that it brings, right? Not only questions like this, should you pay it off, or now maybe drag it off over a few more years to get a little bit of that, quote unquote free money. But I've actually got medical students writing in to me asking, should I take out more in loans than I actually need because I think I may go for PSLF and get them forgiven. So I kind of hate the complications and the constantly changing environment that people are in for student loans, just because there's some incentive there to do the quote unquote wrong thing with your student loans sometimes. But at any rate, congratulations to you on saving up enough to pay them off at any rate.
Thank you.
Tell us what you're doing. You're a family medicine, sports medicine doc, correct?
Yeah, so kind of range of incomes along the way. Whenever we got started, obviously, kind of most residents, $45 to $52,000 each year. Starting my second and third years of residency, I did try to moonlight as often as possible. So I was probably an extra $18,000 in moonlight income during those second and third years. Fellowship actually took a year step back. It was capped at $45,000 fellowship year. Still tried to moonlight a little bit on the side.
That's interesting. I don't recall ever hearing somebody get paid less as a fellow than as a resident, but I guess it can happen.
I was fortunate. I trained at some of the best programs around and with some fantastic mentors. But the fellowship was privately done, so the salary came out of their own pocket,
Yeah.
And so they were going to pay the minimum. The experience was well worth it. I wouldn't take it back for a second, but no, it definitely took a step back for fellowship year, and then obviously been able to kind of make that up now as an attending afterwards.
So, was there somebody else helping? Did you have a spouse or partner making money with you? Did you get money from parents? Was there an inheritance? Anything like that?
No, I come from a low middle income family. They worked very hard. Grew up on a farm in actually Tennessee before moving to Florida. Money was probably the least amount of thing talked about. But work every day, getting up, dealing with horses, things like that, kind of instilled a lot with me in terms of my approach with medicine and everything. My wife was a cardiac sonographer. Thankfully she didn't have any loans, but we didn't use any of her income to kind of help with the debt payment along the way. I did buy a townhouse my first year of residency, and that turned out to be a good deal just because of the way the market fell. I know it's kind of a 50-50 whenever that type of thing happens. I did sell it when the housing market was starting to peak last summer, and so I took about a net $70,000 profit on that. I put $20,000 in our house. We did a back patio, and then the other $50,000 I put aside for student loans.
Cool.
So outside of that, but no other inheritances or anything else. Everything has just been from income.
Well, tell us, obviously the house helped a little bit, but how did you do this? You don't make that much money to pay off $287,000 in 2 years. How'd you do this?
I think that's part of, kind of where family medicine is probably one of the things we're trying to help get the word out, is that family medicine doctors can have a good income too. When my first year out, I negotiated hard with one of our employers. Even though I kind of planned on going with them all along, I definitely used leverage in contract negotiations and things with them. So my first year income was $300,000. And getting ready for this podcast, I actually had my comp meeting the other day with my second year out. Now I'm actually on par for almost $600,000 this year.
Wow.
And so, we've definitely kind of taken a multi approach to this, just like we do with family medicine when it comes to, kind of being a jack of all trades. It's try to control our spending, increase the income coming in, and then kind of have a balanced approach with our investments and things like that.
So you've been saving up investments along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. We have. I've kind of, mid-maxing out a Roth 401 since residency now, doing the backdoor Roth now that as an attending, been putting money into our HSA accounts. I've got, I bonds as well. Kind of been a topic here recently we've been talking about on the show. I've been putting money into my brokerage account and things like that. So I've been trying to do the long-term investments along with the short-term, and as we kind of go along and take a balanced approach to it. But definitely steering towards the student loans early was a big goal of mine.
Well, you're well past broke now. What's your net worth up to approximately?
You actually had me kind of doing some of the numbers here recently with everything. So I think our net worth is up around about 300,000 now, or 400,000. So we started off negative 287, and now we're up to positive at this point.
So you're clearly not spending a lot of this income that you're earning. This is almost all going toward building wealth, whether it's paying off your loans or whether it's...
I've got twin girls now at home. I think the spending is definitely there at this point, especially the cost of diapers and formula these days. But no, we live very simply. We try to go to a geographical arbitrage. I live in a fairly low cost of living area, although the North Tampa area is getting definitely more expensive for sure. I definitely, where we practice is a very rural area. So I've been able to kind of build my practice up very quickly, which was a goal. And we've tried to really work on, growing our patients panel and everything up there quickly, which is, a definitely boon, especially for an early attending. You spend a lot of your time trying to build your practice. And in this case, we've been able to build very quickly and grow very quickly up there. So kind of, like I said, kind of watching what we spend, but also, making sure that we're working on the income side of it as well.
It helps not to be paying state income tax either, I imagine.
Yes, that's when I was looking at where I would live, it was pretty much Tennessee, Florida, or Texas coming from the Southeast. So,
So you have had a fantastic start to your financial career. I mean, you guys are on par to end up as multimillionaires, maybe decamillionaires, right? The last couple of years, looking back at this success you've had, was this easier or harder than you thought it would be? I mean, you've been listening to the White Coat Investor and reading this stuff since you were a medical student. Now you're actually doing it the last couple of years. Easier or harder than you thought it'd be?
man, looking back, you kind of realize how hard it's been. Just like you get through medical school or residency, you kind of take it one day at a time. I've been trying to put a lot of the principles you've been teaching for a long time now in place. We're starting to reap some of the harvests of that now, which is awesome. But it's a lot of hard work. I mean, as building up the show and everything you've done, you probably didn't look back at the time and realize where you're going to get to with it. And kind of the same way when it comes to building a practice or anything else. I was very fortunate to work under some fantastic mentors and things. I tried to learn as much as I could from both a medical and also a practice. We also do a lot of teaching for one of our residency programs and have medical residents over. And part of what I tell them and try to teach them is, how do you run an efficient clinic? How do you run an efficient practice? Those type of things. So it's a lot of different things that come into it. It definitely doesn't happen overnight, but we've definitely been very fortunate, but we've definitely worked hard for it too.
So somebody else is out there listening, maybe a medical student, maybe an intern or somebody that kind of just found the White Coat Investor, thinks, hey, maybe there's something good here. Maybe I should listen to this. What advice do you have for that person? They want to be like you 2 years out of residency, basically have your student loans paid off, be well on the route to building wealth. What advice do you have for them?
First off, listen to Jim Dolly. that's always a first. But it's really put your head down, work hard, obviously, and then try to make smart decisions along the way. Even if you're on a rotation or you're with somebody that hey, maybe I'm not going to get a lot medically out of this. Okay, look at how the practice is run. Look at how how can you take something from somebody who's doing something successful and find a way to apply that to what you're doing. There's lots of great examples out there for how to practice medicine, how to run a business efficiently, how to do your finances. Find people who are successful with it, and mimic what they do. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel to be successful with things, and you kind of tailor those into your own personal approach as you go along.
What's next for you? What's your next big financial goal?
We're talking about maybe building a house up closer to my work. I do have about a 45-minute commute every day to an hour. So maybe getting closer to work would be nice, especially now that we have young kids. Obviously, with the way the housing market and everything is, we'll probably no rush on that right now. But, I think at this point, my goals have been so long, just, get these student loans paid off. I don't like to owe somebody $5, let alone hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, at this point, it's starting to look a little bit more big picture, and that's going to be a new transition for us. We're kind of looking at more long-term things now. So, I think the biggest thing for us is just kind of sticking with what's worked so far, kind of making a plan, sticking with it, putting that financial plan in place that you always talk about, making sure that we just stick with that in years to come, no matter what kind of comes our way.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you on your success, and thank you for coming on the podcast and using your story to inspire others to do the same.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, that was a great interview. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of times we get criticized for only having people on here that make, $800,000 a year and hardly have any student loans at all. But here we have somebody that is not in the highest paid specialty by any means and still managed to pay off almost $300,000 in just 2 years. So you can do this, even if you're not, super high income, even if you have quite a bit of, well above average student loan debt. You can still pay off your student loans. You can still pay them off relatively quickly. Does it require some sacrifice? Yes. You can't grow into your income all at once. You got to delay growing into that for a little while. But if you'll do that, you can be successful and you can get that student loan monkey off your back. Did you know that 94% of U.S. healthcare facilities use locum tenens each year and typically pay more for them? This makes working locum tenens a smart financial move for you to help pay off student loan debt faster or make some extra income. CompHealth is one of the leaders in the locum tenens industry and makes it easy to search from thousands of jobs across the country. They're added daily on CompHealth.com. You can find jobs close to home, and CompHealth can even help you find your next full-time job too. Explore all jobs now at CompHealth.com. All right, keep your head up, your shoulders back. You can do this. We can help. We'll see you next time on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast.
The hosts of the White Coat Investor podcast are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is free entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. You should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.